cool cats and kittens. This is your favorite AP government teacher walking you through the new rubric for the AP test. Notice that this says the 2020 COVID rubric because this is actually a change from the rubric that we've taught even last semester, because they have actually added points in spots and actually took one of the points away. So if you have a friend who took first semester AP Gov, this would not be a time to kind of converse with them on what they wrote for argument essays, because your argument essays will be different. Just like in class, I'm going to walk you through what the general outline is, what it should look like. Then we'll go through the rubric on the back. So what you really want to get out of this today is how to write this essay, because tomorrow's assignment is to actually write an essay. So make sure that you fully understand this, and if you have any questions, any concerns, there's a discussion board on the Schoology, and please let me know any questions that you have. So the point of an argumentative essay is what you've done probably since you've been in high school, is to write an argument. So if we look underneath this first part, it says develop an argument that explains which of the three models of representative democracy, participatory, pluralist, or elite, best achieved the founders' intent for American democracy in terms of ensuring a stable government run by the people. So your argument in this context, okay, so develop an argument where you're going to decide one of these three models. And you have to pick a side. So in this case, you would have to pick one of those three. In your essay, you must articulate a defensible claim or thesis that responds to the question and establishes a line of reasoning. This is where people lose their point. They write their thesis, but they don't have their line of reasoning. Your line of reasoning explains why your claim is right. So it has to make sense. It has to tie back to the government. B, support your claim or thesis with at least two pieces of accurate and relevant information. One piece is going to have to come from a foundational document that they give you. Okay, so they will always give you a little list of ones that you could choose from, and then your second piece can be from anything that you've taken from AP Government. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a foundational document. It can be anything that you've learned in the government class, but it can be. You'll notice use a second piece of evidence from another foundational document. So it could be. So you could choose to use Brutus 1 and Fed 10 in your answer if you want to. All right, so let's go. Oh, and then C, use reasoning to explain why your evidence supports your claim. So your first part of your essay will look like this. The blank is doing something that involves asking blank to take a position on an issue. Prepare a response that the person being asked to take the position on the issue would take. So the first part of your essay is you establishing what your argument is and who would take that position. Or develop an argument that explains which of two or more choices is preferred because of. So you'll use this second one for this argument. Develop an argument that explains that the pluralist is preferred because of blah, 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 over elite and participatory. The second part of your essay, you want to articulate a defensible claim or thesis that responds to the question and establishes a line of reasoning. Support your claim or thesis with those two pieces of relevant evidence, and one piece of the evidence must be from those foundational documents. Use the second piece of evidence from another foundational document or your study of, and then it'll always be, so in this case, it's the election process, so it would be from the election process. And then C, use reasoning to explain why your evidence supports the claim to the thesis. You guys have been writing essays like this for a very long time now, so this format shouldn't be anything new, where you have a thesis, piece of evidence, have your reasoning, so why does that piece of evidence tie to your claim or thesis, then a second piece of evidence, then how does that tie back to your thesis, and then you need to make sure, the big thing is you need to make sure that every time you give a piece of evidence that you're explaining how that ties back to your thesis. That's the big thing. So now let's look at the rubric on the back. So for 1 point, you're going to articulate your claim or thesis that responds to the question. Presenting facts is not the same as articulating claims. For credit, students must take a position or choose a side. You have to. You can't say I can see both sides. You have to develop an argument. Here's your foolproof thesis formula. Restate the prompt, choose a why side, tell me why. The model of representative democracy that best achieves the founders' intent for American democracy in terms of ensuring a stable government run by the people is a pluralist democracy because it allows for multiple viewpoints of people to be represented in the government. So right there in my thesis, I'm picking a side and then I'm explaining why. Okay? So restate the prompt, pick your side, tell me why. Okay? Use an appropriate piece of evidence from the list of the foundational documents provided in the prompt. For credit, you must demonstrate your knowledge. Okay, so you have to show that you know that document. They're looking for you to show that you know that document, and then you need to tie it back. That tie back is going to be your next point. So how the first piece of evidence connects to the thesis. You always have to tie it back. It goes back to closing that loop. Then you have your second piece of appropriate evidence from the list provided in the prompt or any other document. So if you want to use a court case, you want to use, something else that we've talked about in class, you absolutely can. It doesn't have to be a foundational document, but it can be. So if you can defend something else that they've listed, absolutely do so. So you're going to have your second piece where, again, you're going to use that as your evidence, right? So your second piece, evidence, and we talked about where that can come from. And then finally, you need to make sure that you tie it back. You have to, again, connect it back. Ooh, that was terrible. Okay? So if you look, this essay is going to be worth 7 points. Okay? And the other essay that they said is going to be on the AP test will not be worth as many points as this. So if you can get this down, that would be great. All right? So that's it for this. We've done these rubrics before. Hopefully this all sounds familiar. But if you have any questions, again, make sure you ask them in that discussion board. I hope that you are all doing well. And let me just figure out how to stop recording. All right. Bye, guys.